But yeah, having said all of this, I do need to address something. When you have an alternative media, the things you've been warned about is like, well, you kind of need gatekeepers and you need quality control. You need, otherwise, you just have crazy disinformation flying about all over the place and anyone could believe anything. And so, yeah, no, that is actually true. There is actual conspiracy theorists that just pump out all kinds of crazy crap all day, every day. That does exist in the alternative media. Where else would it exist? That's where you're going to find that stuff. My whole problem is I get called a conspiracy theorist by lefties that live in a bubble and don't know anything because they don't know what I'm talking about. They think I'm just making it up or something. But there is such thing as actual conspiracy theorists. And they are creating quite a mess because there's overlap. There's conspiracy theorists that are just conspiracy theorists. They just think everything's a conspiracy theory. They don't trust anything. Everything is corrupt. Everything is fake. And because they aren't welcome in the mainstream, they get pushed into the alternative. And then it's almost like they're on the same team as me. They're not. They're just floating around in the same space as me. But there is some overlap. There's right-wingers that get called conspiracy theorists because the left-wing media, the mainstream media, is controlled by the left and they don't acknowledge anything that the right wing are saying. They say it's crazy conspiracy theory. So we're outside the bubble with a bunch of actual conspiracy theorists, but we don't align with them. But then there is some overlap. There are actual right-wingers who are also conspiracy theorists. And you've probably heard about this. This is where you get into the Jew thing. And everything's the Jews. In fact, a lot of the stuff I'm saying, if you just go back to the beginning of this massive rant that I've just done, but if you just replace the word lefty with Jew, you're basically getting their point of view. That's. By the way, I've listened to a lot of the people that say that the Jews are behind everything, and there is some merit to it. But the way I see it is there's people that are trying to take over the world. They're using a left-wing it's like they sort of want a Nazi take over the world, but they're using communist tactics. They don't really seem to have an ideology of their own. They're just sort of trying to disrupt and control the natural order of things because you need to destroy what is. And then once you've destroyed what is, you can rebuild the world in your own image. So I don't really think that the people that are controlling things really have a group. They're not Jews, they're not communists, they're not anything. They're just using whatever group they can to take over. And it's not like the Jews aren't a group that could be used in this, just like black people, just like gay people, just like women, just like trans people. That's what the obsession with these little groups is all the time. Now, my problem with the full-on conspiracy theorists is, I try to just only believe in things that there's actually proof of. And if I hear something that sounds believable, but there's not a lot of proof for it, then I just sort of stay away from it, or I just keep it in the background. I don't really make it the forefront of what I believe. But just like I said earlier, where, you got the left, as in the people who vote left-wing and they're left-wing people, then at the top there's the people that actually come up with the ideas and actually pump out the left-wing propaganda. And then there's just the people that follow it. And then there's a middle group that are sort of really on board with it. They're really into it. Well, it's the same thing with conspiracy theory. There's the people that just believe the conspiracy theories. But who's actually coming out with them? Who's actually coming up with this shit? I think that the people that come up with this shit are the same people that are trying to take over the world and control everything. They're feeding you a different kind of bullshit. They know you're not believing the mainstream bullshit, so they're giving you bullshit brand B. This is the other bullshit. So you think you're really clever and you're not believing the mainstream. I'm going to go over here and look at this. Oh, I found the real stuff. And they just keep going. They don't know when to stop. And I think that the people that are feeding you that stuff, the funny thing is, the end result is you get two types of conspiracy theorists. You get the people that believe that everything is fake. Everything. Even if there's good people telling the truth. Nah, they're not good people telling the truth. They're controlled opposition. They're a shill. And everyone's controlled opposition. Everyone is fake. Everyone's corrupt. Basically, there's no hope. Then there's a conspiracy theorist who thinks that there's a secret behind the scenes people pulling the strings that are sorting everything out, and they're going to save us and everything's going to be fine. And it's like, well, don't you see that either one of these, whichever one of these you believe, the result is the same, which is if you believe this stuff, you ultimately give up because you either think someone else is going to save you, or you think absolutely no one can ever save you and there's no hope in anything. So both times you just give up. So the people that believe that there's some sort of saviour and there's good people behind the scenes that are going to save us, I understand why you want to believe that. It makes sense. But the people that believe that everyone's controlled opposition, everyone is fake, I'm like, wait, if you really believed that, then surely wouldn't you just like top yourself? Or wouldn't you just stay out of the conversation and go, there's no point? And you'll just go and live your life the best you can in what little time you have, like, and just tune out and not listen to anyone. So when I see people in comments or making videos that are trying to tell you that everything's controlled opposition, everything's fake, I'm like, well, if you really believe that, why wouldn't you just tap out? Like, why would you even bother? So that's why I think you're actually controlled opposition. That is the controlled opposition. It's the people that are trying to feed you the stuff that makes you go, everything's fake, it's all bullshit. But yeah, recently some of that mentality has leaked into the actual right wing, or the real far right. In the mainstream left-wing media, anyone that's slightly to the right of centre is called far right. They're not far right. But obviously there is actually such thing as a far right. And in the real far right, yeah, a lot of this conspiracy stuff has leaked in where they think everything is the Jews. The Jews are behind everything. And although I've heard a lot of compelling stuff about not Jews, but Israel, Israel's government and Mossad, and but they're just as dodgy as, you know, Russia, China, American CIA. It's just one part of a bigger corrupt system. I don't really see it as, you know, the Jews are in control of the whole world. I just see it as, oh yeah, there's dodgy shit going on with Israel, just like there is every other country. But what I'm saying is, I would be very dubious and very skeptical and very cautious about indulging in too much of that, because I think the controlled opposition is actually digging its claws into you and making you think this stuff. Because I find it peculiar that the left and the right both have this kind of negative view of the Jews. It's one of the only things that they agree on. But they don't agree on it because they think it for different reasons. The right-wing, far-right extremists that think the Jews are behind everything, they think there's some sort of evil, nefarious plan to take over the world from the Jews. And the Jews are trying to infiltrate and take over everything and blah, blah, blah. But the left-wing don't like the Jews because it's not really that they don't like the Jews, it's that they don't like white people. They've got this stupid theory that everything is in this oppression pyramid thing where white people are at the top and the most wealthy, the most privileged, and then everyone's beneath them, you know, black people, people of colour, you know, gay people, and trans people are at the bottom of that pyramid. They're the most ostracised, oppressed people. That's why they're constantly trying to push them to the top. They're trying to turn the pyramid upside down, basically, in their head, in their minds. And the Jews used to be a minority group that the left would protect all the time, just like all the other minority groups. But the Jews aren't actually people of colour. They're sort of white. And they've become very, very wealthy over the years and very successful, which is the right-wing, far-right criticism of them. Is, oh, they're taking over. Look at them. But the left wing is seeing this as, oh, you're basically privileged whites now. They see Jews as privileged whites, wealthy, privileged people. And, you know, the left are so in love with Muslims and black people and stuff that the Jews are basically not worth saving anymore. They've got a bit too successful. So the left have this weird thing where they want to prop you up if you're downtrodden, if you're down there, they want to bring you up here. But the second you get up here, they hate you now because you're up here. It's like fucking so obvious that you're just not trying to help anyone. You're just constantly in control because you're constantly helping out the downtrodden. But the minute they're not downtrodden anymore, you don't like them anymore because you only help out the downtrodden. So you're continuously in power. But yeah, my big problem with the real conspiracy theorists is you know, they can come out with something like the Earth is flat. But if someone just starts saying the Earth is flat, it's like that's not really anything to do with anything. Like, it doesn't really matter. But the people that believe that shit, they believe all kinds of shit, and they muddy the waters of real stuff. So there's real stuff where there's real reason to suspect that there's something dodgy going on. But then the conspiracy theorist always comes along and makes it so ridiculous and just doesn't know when to stop. That it discredits any other real questions. So when Charlie Kirk gets shot, and then you go, was the shooter really the shooter? What was really going on? And there's real reasons to ask these questions and try and figure it out. But then some conspiracy theorist comes along and goes, he wasn't even shot. It was all fake. It was AI. Or he had a little exploding blood pellet in his microphone. And they just come out with, you know, everything has to be fake. And it sort of discredits the real questions about the shooter and stuff. Because they're just saying that the whole thing's fake. You're not really seeing what you're seeing. They did the same thing with Trump. Trump got shot at and a bullet went past his ear and it went so close. It's actually the heat of the bullet that cuts your ear. He didn't actually get shot in the ear. If the bullet actually hit his ear, it would like completely explode his ear off of his head. It actually just grazed, it went near his ear and the heat from the bullet splits your skin open. So it's like a little burn. It's a little burn cut thing. And they're like, look at his ear, it's already healed. The bullet never hit him? Yeah, we know it never hit him. He was never really shot. Well, what about the guy that actually got his head blown off from the bullet? They missed Trump, but they hit some other guy. The whole thing's fake. The world is a stage. Nothing's really happening. It's all just theatre. It's all just a movie. And I'm like, no. Also, well, I'm making 2 points here. One point is, like I said, that shit muddies the waters of real questions that need to be asked. Because there is like a conspiracy theory behind the Trump shooting, which is who the fuck was the shooter? And why does he have no digital footprint? He has no social media, no nothing. They went to his house and he had nothing in his house, not even cutlery in the drawers, nothing in his house. And the same kid was used in adverts and stuff. He was like, obviously some sort of little project. The reason why we knew he was on the roof, but we didn't stop him, is because the roof was too slanted. We can't have people up on the roof. It's too slanted. But the guy who shot the shooter was on a different roof that was actually more slanted than the roof that he was on. What do you mean it was too slanted? What are you talking about? So there's obviously lies, but that doesn't mean the whole thing never happened and it's all fake. So that's what I'm saying. The conspiracy theorist muddies the waters where there's real questions that need to be asked. They just start saying everything's fake and then it just discredits the whole thing. Makes it all sound silly. And then no one asks those real questions. But the other point I'm making is it's an appeal to laziness. This is another way I would suggest you can spot the difference between a bullshit conspiracy theory and something that you should probably take seriously. Is don't take it seriously if it is an appeal to your laziness. So you'll see this all the time in comments and stuff where someone will think they're really clever. If a lefty is arguing with someone on the right and it's all political, someone will come along and go, the left and right thing is an illusion. It's two wings of the same bird. It's two cheeks of the same arse. And they're all the same. It's like, no, the reason why that clever little comment was invented, two wings of the same bird, is it's implying that some of the people are bad. Some of the left-wing politicians that claim to be left-wing and some of the right-wing politicians that claim to be right-wing are actually frauds and they're working together and it's just the same. This is what it was like with Jeb Bush and Hillary Clinton. This is why we like Trump. It's because he's neither of them. If you got Jeb Bush, you've already had two Bushes. That's Bush number 3. If you got Hillary Clinton, then you've already had Bill Clinton. This is a step backwards. Because you're not really getting the right-wing Republican. You're not really getting the left-wing Democrat. You're getting people that are just, they're two wings of the same bird. Trump is something different. And that's why everyone's freaking the fuck out about it. But to say that the left and the right is just two wings of the same bird, what, you mean the ideas are, you mean they don't have different ideas? Yeah, the people can be corrupt and they can be working together and blah, blah, blah. But you think there's no such thing as left and right, it's two wings of the same bird. That's an appeal to your laziness. It's so that you just don't have to pay attention to anything because everything's bullshit. Or if you call someone controlled opposition, what have you gained from figuring that out? Oh, that's one more person you don't have to listen to, isn't it? Oh, don't listen to them, they're controlled opposition. Don't listen to them, they're a shill. Don't listen to them. It's all just an appeal to your laziness where you can not only just be ignorant and not listen to anyone because everyone's fake, but you also get to feel like you're the smartest person in the world. You're so clever because you're like above it all. Yeah, I don't need to listen to anyone. Meanwhile, I know everything because I know that it's all just two wings of the same bird, man. It's all controlled opposition, man. They're all just shills, man. Oh, great. So now you've resulted in not listening to anyone and you don't have to understand anything because it's all fake. All right. That's convenient. So a lot of conspiracy theory isn't just an appeal to your laziness, it's an appeal to your ego. Don't worry, you can be lazy, you don't have to listen to anyone because they're all fake anyway. And also, you're the super smart one that's just like above it. Yeah, you're just not listening to anyone. People who listen to people are fucking stupid. And that's the exact same tactic that the left-wing mainstream media is using. Don't worry, we've got it all under control. Don't listen to them, they're crazy. You only have to listen to us. Don't ever look at the alternative media. The extreme conspiracy theorists and the left-wing mainstream media are actually saying the same thing when you think about it. They're saying, don't listen to these guys. Don't listen to the right wing. But like I said, there is some overlap now where the right wing has this conspiracy theory about the Jews. And the thing is, the Jew conspiracy theory is not an appeal to laziness. In fact, it's very, very complicated. And I'm like, yeah, if you bang on about that shit to me, I won't disagree with what you're saying. I'll be like, oh yeah, no, that is true. Oh yeah, you've just shown me that. I can't really deny that. Yeah, you're right. But I still don't conclude with the same conclusion as you, that the Jews are behind everything. I'm just like, no, that's one group being used by a global attempt to take over things, and it's whatever group you can use to infiltrate at that point in time. And for whatever reason, the Jews, or certain Jews, have become very useful in that way. Like, yes, you can point out that Hollywood is run by Jews. You can point out that a lot of the mainstream media is. You can point out that where all the money's going and why is the money going there? And why does Benjamin Netanyahu have the last say on this? And why are we going to war with that? Yeah, I know. But every time you can point at a Jew that is involved in this scheme, in this takeover, in this plan, in this corruption, I can just point to you a million Jews that aren't involved in it and in fact are against it. So it's not the Jews, is it? And then I can also point out loads of people who are involved in it and are corrupt and are part of the plan who aren't Jews. But then you'll just say that those people are controlled by the Jews and blah, blah, blah. It's just the way I see it, you know, like sometimes if there's a puppeteer trying to manipulate things and sometimes the puppet that the puppeteer uses is a Jew, there's certain factions of the right wing that whenever they see that, they think that the Jew is the puppeteer behind the whole thing. And I'm like, we're both looking at the same thing, but seeing something different. I'm just skeptical of the fact that the left will use black people to further their agenda, because that way, if you oppose the agenda, then that means you oppose black people and you're racist. And then they'll use gay people to further their agenda. And then if you oppose the agenda, then you must be opposing gay people because you're homophobic. And then they use Muslims to further their agenda. And if you oppose the agenda, then that means you oppose Muslims and you're Islamophobic and you hate everyone. It's all you just hate everyone. It would make sense to me that they also use Jews to further their agenda, and then you're anti-Semitic if you oppose the agenda. And for some reason, the right wing never fall for any of these tricks, except for the Jew one. They fall for that one for some reason. Like when I see Black Lives Matter burning down cities, I don't think, oh, that's black people. I think that's specific left-wing black people being used to further an agenda. those particular black people have been absorbed into a movement that doesn't benefit them, but they think it does. And then there's plenty of other black people that have not been absorbed into that agenda and are not being a part of it, and they oppose it. And that's kind of what I'm saying. It's like there's shitloads of Jews that oppose these other Jews that are doing these bad things. So it's not, also, I just think, the left are trying to frame the right as anti-Semitic and you hate Jews because they're trying to frame us as Nazis and the Nazis killed Jews. It just seems obvious to me not to fall into that trap.